In a case shrouded by shocking surveillance footage, tangled personal histories, and a single fatal shot, the lines between victim and perpetrator blur. In today's episode, we peel back the layers of the Dickey Mashek case to ask, was it murder or self-defense? And what really happened in the mobile home that fateful night? Brace yourself as we delve into one of South Dakota's most unforgettable true crime cases.
If ever your life could be a true crime podcast episode, then this podcast is for you. We're about to embark on a roller coaster of emotions, insights, survival, and stories about escape. So buckle up and let the journey begin.
And also, I feel like I'm being judged because Lara has all the details on this thing, and I only have the internet. So we're going to see how my research compares to her actually working the case. She was the lead and the lead prosecutor on this case.
Awesome.
So,
well, that being said, welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
Awesome to have you here on the Escape Pod.
It is great to be back. I haven't been on in a while. And if you're going to pick a case to talk about, this is truly one of the most interesting because you get true insight into behavior that you just don't get any other way. It's so unusual.
It's really intriguing. It's really, it's upsetting, but in a way of like, you do get absorbed or sucked into that world of like, what was going on. And it does, like, the lines do get blurred. It's really, really, really interesting. So I think months and months ago, I said, what did that do? Maybe years ago, like doing this case, she's like, I'm down. I'll be there. So
I haven't heard of it. So,
well, before we get
hold
rolling,
on to your seat.
What are you escaping this week?
I am escaping administrative grind. Just a lot of January administrative things, final end of year billing, the kind of stuff that I did not go to law school to do.
Yeah.
Put me in a courtroom. I love that. Yeah. I'm escaping paperwork.
I know. I'm having those same moral dilemmas lately too. Like, it just sucks the soul out of you.
It does.
Yeah. Got to be done though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. And shit rolls uphill. That's all I'll say about that. So, how about you, KB?
I am, you guys can't see this, but I'm wearing cute tennis shoes because I'm escaping plantar fasciitis on my foot. It hurts. Like it's like part of getting, and every morning I wake up and I go to put my feet down and I'm like, let today be the day. And I'm doing all the things. I'm doing the ice. I'm doing the whatever. I'm doing the stretches. I've got inserts. I walk every day normally, and I haven't been able to walk in far too long because of this. Yeah, it's...
Yeah, stir crazy.
Yeah, and the days that I do kind of push myself, like, and do go for walks, I come back, and it's like the next day, it's flared up worse. So trying to, like, power through... You know how, like, sometimes you can just power through stuff? No, not this. But I want it to go away. So that's what I'm
I feel like
escaping.
you should turn your chair a little bit this way. Yeah. I feel like you're like she's over your shoulder.
Maybe I'll just do this because it's hard to turn.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I'm not.
I feel
So,
like you're like, hi, Lara. I see you back there.
all right, what are you escaping?
The country.
Literally.
Literally.
Nice.
Phelan. Later days. See you
Sayonara.
guys.
Good.
Ciao, ciao.
It's a perfect time of year for a vacation, too.
Yes. I keep saying I'm going to go to Belize to find my brain, and I hope it is there for me because right now I don't know where it's at.
Are you ready to re-enter the workforce or find a career that actually fits? Or maybe you're an employer tired of noisy platforms that miss the mark? Try Focus, a smarter hiring tool that helps you cut through the noise and focus on what matters. Visit focus.work today. That's FOQUS.WORK.
So anyway, and then, she was what was your actual title back then?
I was chief deputy.
Chief deputy.
Yes, so Mark Vargo was relatively new as state's attorney in 2014. I think this was like the first really big, highly publicized case in Mark Vargo's term. And I had been chief deputy for Glenn Brenner and then was invited by Mark Vargo to stay in that role. So I was chief deputy then.
Okay.
And Mark and I worked this case together.
Okay. Well, let's go on back in time to September of 2014. This happened out in Box Elder, so which is just for those of you that don't know our area, just like a hop, skip, and a jump east of Rapid City. And the events that unfolded there would challenge our understanding of self-defense and domestic violence and the desperate moments when survival becomes the only option. And we're lucky enough to have Laura here to talk about it from her perspective because of her role at the time. But what makes this case extraordinary is it was one of those rare instances where hours of surveillance footage that she watched every moment of documented the entire incident. And it provided this unprecedented window into a domestic violence situation that escalated into a fatal shooting. And even with that video evidence, the question did remain at the time, was this murder or was this self-defense? And it is really, really interesting. Okay. It is really interesting. So, all right. And again, Laura can jump in anytime. She's like, or hit a buzzer. Do we have a buzzer?
I wish we did.
Wait, that's not right. Okay. So Richard Dickey Mashek was 49 years old. He was the father of 3. He had 2 daughters and a son. And he lived in a mobile home on Hillview Drive in Box Elder where he had installed 3 surveillance cameras, both inside and outside of his residence. Kellyanne Croyle, the other key figure in this story, was just 23 years old when the incident occurred. She was a little petite, blonde, described by those who knew her as shy and quiet and kind. Laura's nodding, so I'm doing okay so far. She did have a previous felony drug conviction and was on probation at the time of this story. But despite what would later unfold, her attorney would describe her as this very strong, loyal, and kind person, someone far removed from the image of a cold-blooded killer. The two were in a relationship, so Dickey and Kelly were in some sort of relationship, though the exact nature and duration remains unclear from what I could find. What is clear is that on September 9th of 2014, that would be the last day they would spend together. So this is the day everything changed. On that afternoon, Kelly arrives at his mobile home, and what began as what appeared to be kind of like a routine, ordinary visit, captured on his own surveillance, would devolve into hours of terror that would end with Dickey dead from a single gunshot wound to the head. Their surveillance footage, which would become the centerpiece of this entire legal case, initially showed the couple in just seemingly mundane moments. They petted a dog together. They talked. They shared a cigarette. Kelly even got Dickey a beer at one point. And to an outside observer watching those moments, nothing seemed really amiss. But then his mood began to shift. As the hours wore on, and we are talking hours, this ordeal went on, he became increasingly agitated and paranoid, and according to an expert analysis of the video, he accused Kelly of cheating on him and ruining his life. And then his demeanor transformed from casual to threatening, and he became homicidal. And so do you want to pause for a moment and jump in and kind of talk about that power dynamic, the age and the stature and that kind of a thing here?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can just with that initial very high level telling of the story see some concerning patterns emerge. Their age difference is a huge one, yes. And over the course of the case, we learned that there are a number of other power and control dynamics going on. He was providing money for her. He was providing drugs for her. He was, they had a relationship where he perceived himself as very much the giver and her very much the taker. But when you get in deeper, you see that it's him giving was a way for him to control Kelly.
That's what I was thinking.
And to keep her needing him, always making her need him.
Yeah, and then he gets upset if he's at all in that, thinking, I've done this, this, and this for you. I should have the control, and you're not. But he doesn't feel like he has control, so he's getting temperamental.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I don't really have his description. Was he much larger than her?
No. Dickey wasn't a big guy. He was pretty slight as well. So, I mean, there wasn't a lot of a physical difference. I mean, there was. I mean, he was bigger than her because she was very small, but not anything substantial.
Okay. So what follows is approximately 2 hours of what experts would later describe as brutalization, terrorization, and torture. So the threats Dickey leveled at Kelly were specific, they were graphic, and they were relentless. Over the course of these couple of hours, he told Kelly things like he would chop her in half. He would shoot her in the leg just to watch her bleed. He would scar up her face. He would break her jaw. He would paint on the wall with her blood. He would cut her throat. He would break a beer bottle over her skull. He would kill her and all her family members. And these were not just empty threats shouted in anger. Like, he repeatedly emphasized one terrifying message. If she tried to leave, she was not going to make it. He told her again and again that he would shoot her in the back of the head if she attempted to walk out the door.
Did he have like a gun visible on? So he was like holding her hostage.
Oh, I will get to that. Yeah.
Oh, that's terrifying. And you can hear all this when you're watching the. Like you can
Was
hear.
there audio on the video too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Audio and video surveillance of all of this. And there's a lot more to come. Charity is just getting started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goodness sakes.
So according to the defense expert, this was David Lissac, was it Lissac?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Timeline of events. The situation escalated around 3:21 p.m., so it's middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, for the first time, Dickey's rage began to shift between homicidal intent and then suicidal ideation. So he told Kelly to pick up the gun and shoot him between the eyes. And moments later, he attacks her on the bed. She's screaming. She's screaming. He's striking her. At one point, he even threatened Kelly with, you want to take a guess, KB?
No.
Just take a guess. A wild weapon of choice.
Machete. I have no idea.
Battle axe.
Close.
Oh, okay.
Close.
Battle axe. While beating her with his other hand. Like, can you I just can't even comprehend that.
I'm just shocked that this guy has like all these cameras set up to catch all of this. Like, so he's obviously paranoid just in general.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. So the video evidence documented that he kept Kelly captive during this entire ordeal. She was not free to leave, both because of his threats and because he was armed. So, who was it? Park Dietz, was one of the nation's most renowned forensic psychiatrists at the time. He was hired by the prosecution to review the case, and he counted the assaults and threats. There were a minimum of 40 terroristic verbal threats against Kelly. There were about a dozen simple physical assaults. There were also 6 separate assaults with a deadly weapon. The deadly weapons in this case were a handgun and a battle axe. Dickey held a loaded pistol to Kelly's head at least 4 times. On one occasion, he pressed the gun against her head for 39 consecutive seconds. Oof. I mean, I just got a big lump in my throat. Can you imagine the horror when he's telling you how he plans to kill you? The video also captures him admitting to stalking Kelly when they weren't together. And, of course, that really suggests this, like Lara said, this pattern of control and intimidation, this power dynamic that extended well beyond what was going on that day, right? So this was a much longer pattern.
Yeah, it was an ongoing thing. And it makes me think, too, like, just in that moment, how much she had to have regretted, like, going over there that day. Ugh.
It's probably bound to happen at some point, though.
Well, and she probably had things that she wanted. Like you said, like, he supplied her with money and
Yeah.
drugs. So there becomes that, there is that type of relationship where she's going to risk going over there at that point and play nice just to get the things that she needs.
Right. Yeah. When I listen to you explain the case in that way, with the benefit of hindsight being 2020, the thought that comes to my mind is people are going to wonder, why was this woman ever charged with a crime? Because, I mean, Charity's building up to her killing Dickey. And I do want you to get to that part factually, but just before you do, I think it's important to remember the information that law enforcement had at the time they made the arrest decision. So maybe finish telling the facts and then I'll explain why she was arrested, because there was a good reason she was arrested.
Yeah, it is interesting. So we started at 3:20-ish. We're now at 3:40. His suicidal impulses were becoming increasingly prominent. He told Kelly to grab the gun and do to him what he couldn't do to himself. He picks up the weapon. He tries to give it to her, but she shakes her head. She refuses to take it. This psychological warfare just continues on. 6 minutes later, he loudly tells her to put the gun to his forehead. This time she complies with what he demanded. He told her to pull the trigger. In the video, she's clearly crying as she's holding the gun to his head. She shifts the gun away, then points it back again as he continues to berate her. 3:48, in apparent exasperation that she hasn't pulled the trigger, he leans back in his chair. So Kelly is visible on the video in extreme distress. She's rocking back and forth, clearly in a state of psychological breakdown. I'm reading this, though. I didn't see any of these images. 3 minutes later, he escalates his threats even further. He tells Kelly that he would not just harm her, but her sisters, her brother, her brothers, her nieces, her nephews, and that he would make her watch him do it. Then he gets up from his chair. He pulls out a stash of cash. He dumps it on the bed and returns to the chair. So the video shows him continuing to press Kelly and try to push her into finishing him off. Now we're at 3:54. He delivers what would be among his final words. You know, if you walk out of here, I'm coming after you. One of these days, it's just going to get the best of me. And after an 11-second pause, that's when Kelly finally pulled the trigger. One single shot to the head. Dickey Mashek, 49 years old, father of 3, gone. So, video doesn't stop there, though.
Right. There's more.
Here's what happened next. And here's what would bring to Laura's point. After shooting him, Kelly smoked a cigarette.
Oh.
I don't smoke, but I probably would have done the same thing after all of that. She then makes a call.
Yeah.
She then takes the money that's on the bed. She takes the gun. She places them in a duffel bag. And then she shoots out the surveillance camera and the computer before fleeing the scene. So these actions appear to be calculated and intentional. And, of course, that's what would start to give prosecutors pause, right? So
Yeah.
I'll have you jump in now.
Right. So Mr. Mashek's son comes home from school and finds his father. That's who finds
he
him.
lived with him?
Mm-hmm. Well, that was what I was going to add. That was one of my questions that I was like, did the kids, when you mentioned the kids again, I was like, did they live with him at all? Because and were they there? Where?
So law enforcement comes relatively quickly. The son had seen Kelly leaving. It had passed her on the dirt driveway, so had an idea of who had been there last. That was reported to police. Police located Kelly very quickly after Mr. Mashek was found, and we didn't have the benefit of any of this video surveillance that you've spent so much time thinking about for quite a while. So when you just look at it at face value, you have a man who's been executed. He's shot point blank between the eyes and the head. The person that you believe shot her has absconded with tens of thousands of dollars, drugs.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Wow.
Drugs that she took, and then made efforts to conceal what had happened by shooting out the surveillance. She shot the camera.
Shooting the computers.
Right. She thought that would stop the memory from recording, which of course it didn't, but it took us time to get that video footage because it's stored in a cloud, so we had to obtain it. She's taken in for an interview, and this is one of the things that keep me up at night. Like, if it had just stopped there, if there had been no video surveillance, I think that Kelly would be in prison today for the murder of Dickey Mashek, because when she's interviewed by law enforcement, she's not able to articulate what has happened to her over the last couple of hours in the way that you've described. And
She's
then
probably in shock.
I'm kind of hoping I'm not giving away too much too soon, but we end up having days worth of video surveillance. It's not just this incident. We end up with days worth of recorded video, and so we're able to see a much bigger pattern of abuse between the two of them. Kelly didn't present a compelling self-defense argument at all when she was interviewed by law enforcement. And that's why the charges were brought against her for second-degree murder. She's taken into jail, and it's slow going to get this video surveillance, get it watched, not just in the moment of the murder, but to understand the totality of the circumstances around the couple, which really shaped the conclusion of the case.
Thank God for that.
I know. What if we hadn't have had it?
What if it hadn't? And she wasn't able to, like you said, she couldn't articulate. She wasn't defending her. Like, she just was not.
What do you think the reason was she couldn't or wouldn't articulate it? Do you think it was?
I think it goes back a lot to what is the traditional idea of self-defense, which is you are in imminent fear of extreme bodily harm or death in the moment. I mean, imminent means in the moment. And when you watch that video surveillance, which I've had the opportunity to do, I've seen it all personally, you know, she's the one that has the weapon. He's unarmed at the time that he's shot. She has a clear pathway to the door. She could easily have just walked out, and she had the gun. She had a vehicle. There was nothing stopping her at that point from getting out the door. And her ability to really articulate the totality of the pattern of abuse in the relationship she just didn't really have that full ability.
Did she realize she was abused? Like, I think about just like my own upbringing and the things I endured from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
It was normal until I got out of that and got into a healthy relationship. Then I started realizing those things are not normal.
Right.
This was not okay.
Right. It could be so many things, right, Charity? It could be the questions that she was asked, how comfortable she felt with that interviewer, how much she understood about her own abuse, how much of it she had normalized. And I think that you hit on it. I think for her it was very much normalized. And I believe that in large part based on the other day's worth of video surveillance I had seen. They were in a very cyclical kind of, it's the classic power and control wheel, right? Like, there's the flowers and the roses and everything's wonderful and everything's happy. And then it slowly escalates into abuse. And then the abuse is worse and worse and worse as bad as it gets. And then the circle starts again with the I love you and the love bombing and everything's fine. And they were on like this super fast loop of that. Like within hours, the loop is spinning.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. And they would have, and even in the way you were telling the facts, you can even see that. She brings them a drink, they smoke a cigarette. This is all around a situation that is riddled with being hit, being slapped, being punched, being threatened with weapons.
So he was physically abusive.
He had been physically abusive to her for a very long time.
And even when you were originally talking about the timeline, you were giving us those timestamps, and it was like this all started at 3:20, and then it's like at 3:40. I'm thinking, wow, that escalated really quick.
Yes,
like just a complete shift on his demeanor, and it'd be really hard to watch. Did you have a hard time watching, like? Or I suppose you're used to it.
No, there's no way that I could be used to something like that because even though I prosecute crimes, I don't watch them happen.
Yeah.
And this is literally watching a person being killed live. I mean, it's happening. It's real. And it was the most bizarre window into a world that I had never seen with my own eyes before. The drug addiction that Mr. Mashek had, the paranoia that went along with that drug addiction.
What were the drugs of choice?
He was using uppers, and he wasn't eating. He wasn't sleeping. He went days without eating or sleeping. So imagine what's happening chemically in his body. Yeah. And it was really, really troubling. I had Heather Knox, who's now a federal prosecutor, watched the video with me, and then a retired investigator named Kent Prismus. And we spent days watching worth of this video of the interactions that Dickey had, not just with Kelly, but with other people in his life, and having a window into that world was really, really disturbing.
Sure.
And I don't think that Kelly was fully able to articulate or understand the situation she was in.
23.
Yeah, she was really young. Yeah. So
you have a job to do in this.
Yeah. And
how complicated did this video make that job?
I always thought it was really insightful and aware of domestic abuse and really sensitive to victimology. And this just really changed my way of thinking about it entirely because law enforcement, myself included, we were so focused on that final moment. When she really did have the power in that if you just focus on those last 30 seconds or that last minute, I mean, she did have the gun, she did have access to the door. But I was having a hard time understanding how the abuse she'd suffered in the hours, days, weeks prior to that created a need for a legitimate legal basis for self-defense. So we got this defense expert report, and the defense attorney is talking to me that this is going to be self-defense. And I knew that I needed the absolute best forensic psychiatrist in the business to help me understand whether this was really self-defense. And Mark Vargo very generously said, well, then hire the very best forensic psychiatrist in the world, find him and hire him because you have something really unique here. You have a murder on video. And that has to be interesting, even to someone as famous as a person that you're going to be looking for. Right. So I, got out the Google And I literally did a Google search for who is the best forensic psychiatrist in the world. And it's Park Dietz. And anybody who's listening, please feed him into ChatGPT or your Google right now. And he has done forensic psychiatry of
cases,
everybody, the Unabomber, Hinckley. I mean, you name a famous homicide, and he's been involved in it. And over the course of his career, he's created a group of other psychiatrists and psychologists who are literally the best in the world. And I've hired his people a couple of times, but this is the first time I've interacted with him. So I literally call and I'm like, "Hi, can I speak to Park Dietz, please?" And they're like, "No, you don't get to talk to Park Dietz. You can talk to one of his associates." I'm like, "Okay." So I talk to his assistant. And I say, I have this really unique situation where I have a murder on tape, and I think it might be self-defense, but it just doesn't feel right to me. I need someone to help me understand. And she's like, "You have what?" And I said it again. I have it on video. She said, "I think Dr. Dietz is going to want to speak to you." And he called me.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely wonderful man. And he was willing to take our case. And he received all of the video and all of the case reports. And, we ended up with this report with this very in-depth analysis of helping us understand why Kelly Croyle had absolutely no chance of surviving this. And helping me understand how even if she had survived the moment, she was never going to survive the man. Mm-hmm. He wasn't ever going to let her go.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think in that moment, as you guys are saying this stuff, like she saw, like in that split second, like you say, she could have ran, she could have done this, but it was like there was no escaping this. Mm-hmm. That was her escape,
right?
And it was now or never. Mm-hmm. And so, in a way, it really, it would be like.
I wonder if that was part
that gives me the chills.
Inability to articulate too. Was that like? I didn't really do anything wrong in my mind. I did the only thing I could do to be free of this. Mm-hmm. And it was like more of a resolve than anything.
Right.
But I saw an opportunity. I had to take it because I may not have lived to get another one.
Right.
But in the fact, so in that moment too, and you're not thinking straight, right? She smoked a cigarette. Like I would have been like, I don't know, calling the cops, getting the heck. But to each their own in that situation, because you can speak of what you think you would do, but you don't know until you're actually in those shoes. However, I think so she does this, and then it's like, but then she takes them, she takes the money. So there's also like a crime being committed in that taking of the money, right? So then to be interviewed after this has happened, I don't know if you fully, as a 23-year-old girl who's in this situation, does she fully understand how to really tell what she did and what she was feeling? And then she's probably scared that she's going to get in trouble because of the taking of the money. And am I guilty of murder? She doesn't. I'm sure she didn't understand all of the, like you said, the totality of all of it.
Yeah.
She just took an escape and ran, hence trying to cover it up. Like she knew that parts of that, like if she would have just shot him and then called the cops and left it at that, I think things might have been a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Like I did this in self-defense, but she didn't. She did a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so
I don't know. I might see tens of $1,000s on the bed after the shit I just went through and think that will pay for therapy.
Oh, absolutely. But it's still wrong. It's still
something to cope. Yeah.
Yeah. It's still stealing. I mean, it's still taking the money and the drugs.
Why did he take it out of the bag and throw it on the bed?
Yeah, and that really was that was part of his
taunt.
Right, that was part of his power and control too. It's
I have this and you don't,
and you want it.
Yeah, well, and as part of the dynamic in the moments leading up to his death, Mr. Mashek had said, "You've taken everything from me. Take the rest. Take my money.
He did offer it. So
he offered it. Yeah,
was not stealing. He gave it to her.
Take my life. Take my money. Take my life. You've already ruined me.
Very dramatic.
Take it. Yeah, very dramatic.
But it's this psychological up down. I'm gonna kill you. I'm never gonna let you go. But I want you to kill me.
Yeah.
Here's my money. Here's the drugs. Here's everything you want. You've already. It's this back and forth. Pardon my mouth. Mind fuck of
Yeah. Yeah, it's
right.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because that's one of the things that I really thought when I was watching it. you can have someone explain to you what it's like to be in a relationship like that, but to literally see it firsthand, and not just on the day that he died, but over the course of the days leading up to that. And she kept coming back. She kept coming back to the trailer and trying to understand the dynamic that exists in those domestic violence relationships. It's really hard, even for me, with 30 years experience with it, to see it brought it home in a way that just nothing else could have done to literally witness it.
Were his children interviewed?
Yep.
Okay.
Now,
Was there anything helpful?
No, because Dickey really kind of tried to keep his private life, which wasn't always legal. The things he was doing weren't always legal. He tried to keep his kids away from that. So I don't think they had a lot of awareness. They knew who she was.
So he tried to be a good dad.
I think he did. I think he did try to be a good dad. And certainly in interacting with his family, he had a lot of people that loved him, a lot of people that cared deeply about him. This story is just such a tragic combination of just drugs and violence and
sometimes you hear these stories of where like two people and I can't say that for this because I don't know, but like where people will be like, yeah, he's never been like that before, and for some reason just two people come together and it creates like this toxic relationship that they just, I don't know, can't get out of on both sides.
You want to talk about the legal battle and how that rolled out?
Yeah, so everything that we've talked about took a lot of time to happen. So charges are filed against Kelly. She's held in the Pennington County Jail. There were a number of very heated bond hearings where Kelly's attorney would try to get her out on bond. And, you can see quotes from me in the Rapid City Journal just being so harsh about keeping this woman who had killed this man in cold blood in custody while all of this, expert work is being done in the background. I don't have all of that information. So she was in jail and she was looking right down the tunnel at a jury trial for second-degree murder, where she would have been facing mandatory life in prison. Okay. Yes. And I remember the day we got Park Dietz's report and I read it and I brought it into Mr. Vargo and I said, this is what it says. It says that she acted in self-defense. And this is the world's most renowned expert on psychiatry. Yeah. And in reading his report, I agree with him. I'm like, what do we do? What do we do? Yeah. Yes. And Mark Vargo, very ethical man, he said, well, we have to dismiss the case and we have to dismiss it now. I mean, you can't hold on. You can't keep something like that in your pocket and keep someone in custody if they've done something in self-defense. And so he very boldly issued a statement to the media and had the case dismissed and her released from jail the same day that we got this report.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What did his family do?
His family was very upset. They really felt like they didn't get justice for Dickey. They felt like they saw what we saw in that initial moment, that he was killed in cold blood. He was executed. He was shot between the eyes by a person with a gun. And, we offered them to read the case report and to read the psychiatric report. We did let them see some of it, not the most graphic parts of it, but offer that to them and let them see that. Just trying to help them understand that, we're not blaming Dickey for his own death. That's not what acting in self-defense means necessarily. It's just that we can't assign criminality to the person that did it.
Right.
And I think they were really disappointed with that. Yes. But that doesn't mean it wasn't the right thing to do.
I'm looking at Dr. Dietz's credentials. Like, he had affiliation with Jeffrey Dahmer case, Menendez brothers. You mentioned Ted Kaczynski. The Boston Marathon bomber.
Yeah, he's the best. He's simply the best, absolute best that there is, and a really lovely man. I remember in one of our conversations, I said, you may have to come out and testify, and he said, well, I've always wanted to see Mount Rushmore.
Oh,
well.
Well, we can arrange that.
You're like, yeah, we got you there.
We can arrange that. Yeah.
Yeah, so. I think of like going back to Dickey's family and wanting that justice, but it's also then like did they ever witness him being in that manner?
No, and I think that's what makes it so hard for people, for the
wow.
family
So it was a
members in
side
these
of him they
situations.
just-
Yeah, when there's a side of someone that you don't, that
Right,
you've
you
not
don't
seen
know.
and don't understand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it was important that we try to share with them as much information as we could to help them see what had happened in the background of this.
Right. To understand like where you guys were coming from and
Yeah.
what really was the underlying truth of the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I think even then, again, that's another, like, that would be a hard pill to swallow.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and they've just lost their,
Yeah, they're grieving, and now
their
they're grieving.
brother, father. They're grieving.
Yeah. And then I think a completely different situation, and I won't get into it, but I know, like, when we lost one of our friends during the time of, like, COVID, a lot of stuff about who he was after the fact started to kind of come out of the woodworks, and it was like, wait a minute, so we're grieving for the loss of our friend and for our friend's brother and family member and dad and whatnot, and then all this stuff started kind of coming out, and he was living a completely different life that none of us had known anything about, and it was shocking to his character. Like, it was just like, how can this be? And I remember going through that together, because I mean, we just
mourning in a different way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because it was two totally different people. It gives me chills even right now. Like, because it was just, that's not the person who we knew.
Right.
And then to see him in this light, which was disturbing, and not why he had died, but it still was just, it's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, I imagine that Dickey's family felt a lot like that.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I drafted some questions.
All right.
So this was what year?
2014.
2014. Oh, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah,
No.
10 years.
Okay.
yeah.
So given the complexities and this unique evidence in this case, how do you believe, or has the legal system adapted to better account for psychological impact of victims? Have you seen a shift in that regard?
Yes, I think that the impact that this had on our local law enforcement and our prosecutor's office to have a broader understanding of what it means to be a battered woman and what self-defense means about truly through the eyes of the person who is acting in self-defense. It expanded our knowledge in a way that was really, really important, and changed the way we've treated every future case after that. Our law enforcement now is thinking about self-defense whenever they run into a case, and I think that we just didn't in this one because it just wasn't obvious,
Right.
and so we didn't think that way. We didn't think in the same way that we do now.
You mentioned imminent, and that's been part of that domestic violence, or self-defense rather. How has that shifted because of this case?
Right. So it's changed now to kind of that reasonable person standard. So what the law is saying now is, seeing what she saw and knowing what she knows, did she act as a reasonable person would act? And we've built a lot of laws in South Dakota around stand your ground and self-defense. And, we have some of the best self-defense statutes now in the entire country. Florida and South Dakota have the strongest self-defense laws of any two states in the country. Because
Abusers, be on notice.
yeah, because we really feel like you should be able to defend your property and yourself, and that's a very South Dakota value. And so the law has really expanded to, but also to be that of a reasonable person.
Yeah.
So would a reasonable person have acted the same way?
Right.
So given when Dr. Dietz said that, or in the report probably, that she was trapped in a sustained terroristic situation where both leaving and staying posed mortal danger,
Right.
have you seen our legal system take that piece into account, looking at not just the incident, but on the upstream of the incident, like you had the opportunity to do with those videos? Is that more prevalent and common in looking at these cases?
Yes, I think having that more expansive view this case broke that open for all of us, that you can't just look at that, the last 30 seconds of Dickey Mashek's life. You had to look at the bigger picture of their relationship. And especially in the context of domestic violence, it's crucial that we view things that way, because when there's that much history, how could you ever assess self-defense just based on a moment in time? And what was most impactful for me about what you just said that links into, number one, Dickey Mashek's last words, and a big part of what Park Dietz based his opinion on, it was the idea that she would never be safe. And that really opened my mind up to a way of looking at everything in our office a little bit differently. Like, okay, maybe she could have gotten away in that moment.
But if not now, it's later.
Yes.
Right? There's this desperation behind it.
Yes, and he said that verbally, but also the history showed that. And the history between those two individuals showed that he was never going to let go of her. She was never going to be safe from him. And then self-defense takes a different view, right? It's not just self-defense right then in that imminent moment. That's why that imminency is needs to be less emphasized. It's, in the totality of that situation, she would never escape.
So with the look back that you were able to glean in days leading up to this event, did you see an escalation? Do you think that's why she took this drastic action? Because you said there was this cycle, but did the cycle amplify?
Yeah, it definitely. The introduction of the gun was something that was new on that day.
Okay.
But the rest of it that you saw, the violent threats,
what about the battle axe?
The simple assaults, the use of being threatened with other things, objects and weapons, over the course of the days leading up to the homicide, are very, very much in play. And so it was interesting to me that, fact that she keeps returning. He does not ever leave the trailer. He was in a state of paranoia, in a state where, he was not leaving that trailer. It was her that was returning to him. And so, every day when she'd pull up and I'd watch that video, I'd be like, no, what are you doing
and I think
coming back there?
It's so hard to understand that part of it, right? Like, that's
Yes.
a whole nother...
He makes it feel
thing.
like $1 million sometimes, though.
But also, it's so scary for her not to. It's like that keep your friends close and your enemies closer, because, when you read Dr. Dietz's report, yes, a lot of his paranoia is when she's not there. Who are you calling? Where are you? He's stalking her. He's watching her.
So he would leave the trailer to stalk her.
Yes, and Dr. Dietz talks about that he referenced on the day that he died, that he had seen her at someone's house.
And it was accurate.
Yeah, and had known where she was, and so it was following her and stalking her. And she was just never gonna get away from him. And I think she thought if she could just come back and keep him calm and keep him happy and, okay, I'm here, everything's fine, that would placate him.
Yeah.
But it was just, unfortunately, just
was a coping
inviting.
mechanism.
Yeah, it was just inviting more danger.
Well, I think a lot of times, even in these relationships where, and you can't always make sense of it, but like in these abusive relationships or whatnot, or things where it seems easy from the outside to be like, why can't they just leave and stay gone? Why do they keep coming back? And sometimes you've got a personality who's like, well, there's that little seed, like you were talking about how it's that vicious circle, right? And so there's that little highlight or that little seed planted of hope.
Yeah.
That maybe tomorrow is going to be different. Maybe I can fix him. Maybe fill in the blank, whatever it is. Right. There's always like that something, that little need. And then sometimes it is also tied with that, in addition to, I need that fix. I need the drugs. I need the money. I need the whatever. Again,
The attention, and when he's being kind and,
yeah, maybe it'll go back
loving.
to like when we first started
Right.
seeing each other. You know what I mean? Like, this is just a temporary hang up. And so it's
So you believe she would be in prison now, but for that video.
I don't want to believe that. I want to think that our office is better than that, but I think there's a really good chance that she'd be in
What
prison
would have been
today.
your course of action had that video not
exist.
surfaced? You wouldn't have reached out to Dr. Dietz, right? Like, so what experts would you have consulted with? Like, what would that have looked like? Would there have been any hope of coming to the conclusion that was derived.
I think what would have happened is it would have gone to trial. They would have had their defense expert who would have, presented, and in my humble opinion, mine was way, way better. So, they would have had their expert that would have opined that she was victim of domestic abuse. But that's not always very well received by jurors. There's not a real depth of understanding of domestic abuse. And I think there's a real possibility that she would have been convicted, because what I would have argued in closing argument is all that matters is the last 30 seconds of that video. Watch it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She had the gun. She has a clear path to the door. Her car's out front. No one's stopping her. You didn't have to kill him.
Yeah.
Closing it out with, then she stood there, smoked a cigarette, took the money and the drugs. And that's why when you said that, and she stood there and smoked a cigarette, I was like, oh, because I'm like, how?
Shot out the camera.
Yeah.
Shot out
all
the
those
computer
things
to
make
cover up
her look real guilty.
consciousness of guilt. I mean, there's a real chance I win that.
You were here. I can't remember her name now, but the young girl who we believed was being trafficked, and she goes to see the guy that was supplying her need, whatever that was, money for sex, drugs, all the things, and then she ends up shooting him, burning the house down, and stealing his car. It's very similar.
Yeah.
And she did go to prison, though. I think that was Wisconsin. I got really fired up about that. But she was being trafficked.
Yeah, I remember that episode. I think there's a real chance she's in prison today if we hadn't have had the benefit of Park Dietz and his expertise, and then now the gift of that awareness in looking at things differently as we move forward.
Have there been other cases where it's like the lessons learned from the Mashek Croyle incident, carried into and produced a different outcome?
Yes, absolutely. And it's just the idea that self-defense doesn't have to be created in a moment, that it can be created over a period of time. It's just such a unique case in so many ways. Even just the window to Dickey Mashek's life over the days leading up to his death, the paranoia and the way that drug addiction changed him and how differently he would act when he was high and when he wasn't. And that was really shocking to see, really see and watch someone in the throes of addiction and how that changed him. And then, the lifestyle and the paranoia and the not sleeping and not eating, it was just that part of it was so shocking and interesting. And then to have a window into a true domestic violence relationship with the verbal, the physical. I love the way you started, Charity, by breaking down what Dr. Dietz said about how many verbal threats, how many simple assaults, how many gross, aggravated assaults there were.
Just from the video.
And that's just on that day. So trust me when I tell you that that's how it was every day that they were together.
Oh, my God. Wow. So how do you prepare yourself emotionally to dive into a case like this where you've got to keep it together? And I'm a very empathic person. I don't know how I would do that.
This one was really hard because we didn't want to fast forward through any part of the video because we didn't know what we might miss. So we literally, the three of us, Investigator Prismus and Heather Knox and I, spent, I bet 7 days, because he's running 24 hours a day. We're working 8 or 10 hour days. So, it was days upon days that we sat in a dark room and watched this. And there were times where one or all of us would be like, okay, we need to hit stop. Yeah, we need to pause this. This is it's just too disturbing. Because it's real life. It's not, at first you can kind of separate, like, oh, it's on a screen. It's not really happening. It's not happening to me. It's just a movie. But then the reality of it would pull you in, that these are real people. And this man's dead, and this woman's charged with his murder, and the weight of that would just be too much, and then visually too disturbing to watch. It was a lot.
So all it took was the report then? Were there any doubts prior to receiving Dr. Dietz's report that maybe this isn't as black and white as we initially thought?
Yeah, when we got the defense report, we knew that we had cause for concern.
Okay.
and we needed to look at it ourselves with someone that we could trust. And then that's when Mark Vargo's like, spend what you need to spend. We need the best. This is important. This is something the community would want us to spend money on, getting this right. But yeah, I think that's when the doubts really started to enter in. And the more the three of us watched more and more of that video over time, the more I just, you have that terrible feeling in your stomach that this is just not right. So yes, I think building up to that report, we were starting to get that sinking feeling in our stomach that this was not what it had appeared to be at first.
But I think, I have to give Vargo and you just props because, when we were doing the, what's his name? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a total blank. The death row inmate that is in contact with us, Jeff Preble, and the prosecutor that stitched him up wrongfully, just to keep her scorecard good. I imagine if I were I just want to know I could sleep well at night, and I imagine you sleep very well at night knowing this was the outcome of.
Yes.
It wasn't about the conviction.
It's funny that you say that because when we were drafting that press release and Vargo I remember this moment very vividly. We didn't have a public information officer back in 2014. So it's just Vargo trying to draft something to our constituents to help them understand what we were doing and why, that we weren't letting a murderer free, that this, help them understand this situation. We wanted to give just enough information that the community could understand. Yeah. And at the same time, I'm on the phone to the jail saying, I need you to release this person who's charged with second-degree murder. And they're like, what? Have you lost your mind? It was very, very stressful in that moment, trying to be able to communicate what we were doing and why, make sure that we were getting her out of custody as soon as possible, that we ethically could not hold her 1 minute more, past the point of believing that she acted in self-defense. And I had tremendous admiration for Vargo that day and his leadership, and because we didn't know how the public was going to react. It could have been very, very negative for him politically, and I think he handled it very well in helping the community understand that this was not what we thought initially, and it's okay to be wrong. And to say that you were wrong.
I think I have so much respect for people who can do that.
Yeah.
Not
Not everybody can. Yeah, not everybody can.
This is one of the things he said, though, in response when he was drafting that public statement. Anyone who watched the video would have their opinions. When you watched that, there were times when you were absolutely appalled at what was going on, but other times you might feel she was out of danger and there was no need for further violence. So it just underscores that
it's touchy.
It's complicated.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It's complicated because even in the facts that you told at the beginning, she went to the refrigerator, got a beer, they shared a cigarette. There are definitely moments where things calm and de-escalate to the point that you think, okay, everything's fine. Like you could leave. If you weren't happy with the situation, you could leave. So again, it's really wrapping your head around how pervasive his control of her was. And I also think for her, part of it we haven't really talked about yet is when he started saying, I won't just kill you, but I'll kill your mother. Yeah. I'll kill your brother. And he started naming off all the people that she loved.
Everybody.
And I think she started to feel like, okay, so even if I can get out of here, not only am I never going to be safe, but now who else won't be safe too? And are those idle threats? And how can you think they are in the context of the abuse that we know she suffered in the hours leading up to
you get a loaded gun held to your head, that's going to change your perception of what your options are, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's just mortifying. Is there anything else you want to add about the case, or do you think we...
No, just that, I know a lot of the people that are involved in this case, people that love Dickey, and even Kelly will probably, may hear this, and there's a lot of people in this community that love her. This is a small town, and just so everybody knows that this is a situation that we treat with respect, and we understand how traumatic it was for everyone. For everyone.
Yeah.
Well, and I
everybody.
think that
even he was going through something. He was putting her through something.
Right.
And then the ripple effect of what that final 30 seconds did to everybody else. Like, it's just, nobody won.
Right.
No.
So tragic.
But that was one of the things, and I don't know if you can speak to this or not, but I've been sitting here thinking, like, not so much where is Kelly now, but after she was released and whatnot, like, does somebody give some type of counseling, and like, is there like some type of, I don't know, like here's where you go next,
Like
or how?
assistance.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, I didn't know how to, like, what you would call it, but is there?
Yeah, not for her, because she's the defendant. She's accused of a crime. So, yeah, she's just let out of jail that day and she just sent home.
Okay.
So what
She does
happened
next?
to her after that? I mean, that you should get her on the show. That'd be really interesting to hear how she's.
Well, I've been
she's done.
surprised at the people who have reached out on cases, even old cases in South Dakota's history. People hear them and they're like, hey, I know this person. I mean, it's really interesting. So if, she were to reach out, I absolutely would be willing to talk to her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd probably just want to never talk about that again.
Yeah,
but,
no.
Yeah.
But at the same hand, it depends on where that person is at now. Like, I go back to sometimes,
or are they just
sometimes that is people's lifestyle, and it kind of ends up being a repeated pattern. Like, there are times when there are women or men, I'm sure, that get into these relationships, and that just tends to be their pattern. They end up in these abusive after abusive after abusive, and I hope that that's not the case for her. But also sometimes it's a one-off thing, where I was saying, like, sometimes two people, it's like you'll talk to the people who knew him and you'll talk to the people who knew her, and they're never like that until these two got together, and for whatever reason it was just
oil and water,
like
powder keg.
Yes, yeah. So I don't know, I'm just curious if that's the case here or not, but regardless, I'm glad that you guys got to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Such a complicated case, and
How long
learned
did
a lot.
it take Dr. Dietz to
Come to his conclusion.
Yeah.
Good question.
How long was she in jail?
Well, the incident happened, you gave the date, September 9th, 2014, and the report was dated June 11th of 2015.
So she sat for a while.
So she was there for a while.
Yeah.
Which, might have been time for her to
Retreat, it might have been.
that's what I was just thinking, like, time to reset, you know what I mean? And for her herself to kind of go back, because you can't tell me she wasn't thinking about it in there, right? And to kind of go back through things and maybe make some different choices when she's out. So
Yeah.
It's hard though, I of course, we all put our own filters onto things when we hear these stories, and I think about her being with an older man with these types of issues. Don't know if this is true or not, but likely textbook, has daddy issues. Daddy was either present or not present, and trying to get that attention, and so finding in him both like affection and a father figure, again, all theory, but it would make sense. And so if that's like her upbringing, I know how hard it was to escape that. I mean, we've talked very openly about that on the Escape Pod, on how I didn't know how to handle my husband because he was nice and he wasn't my type because he wasn't a controlling jackass or a womanizer, or it takes a while.
yeah.
But you have to put yourself around something different to then have that contrast. Just like when we talked about growing up, like, you don't realize, like, this is normalized, that this isn't okay, and then you now have something to compare it to and go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Beating your kids with a belt is probably that's probably abuse, right? So it's those types of things, and I pray that she was able to get around people that.
Yeah, me too.
Are you looking for an early morning boost or that midday pick-me-up? Check out the Homebrew Coffee Shop, a coffee shop with a cause on the One Heart campus. At Homebrew, you'll find hope for a home in every cup. It's home to delicious coffee, sweet treats, breakfast, and lunch items. It's a great place to meet friends or host small group meetings. Homebrew is located at 201 Kansas City Street in Rapid City. Open Monday through Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. We'll see you there.
Yeah.
Gave her different feedback. So
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully we'll have you back. What are you going to escape to now?
I'm going to escape to
Hopefully not more paperwork.
an afternoon cup of tea and some email, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah. Not the email part, but
The
you
tea,
try to soften
yeah.
it a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Sometimes a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. I love both. It just depends on my mood in the moment. But it's like it doesn't matter what I'm doing as long as I have that warm little beverage there. I'm
Yes.
like, we're okay. It'll get me through
What
it.
about you, KB?
I am going to spend some time with our horses. It's so nice out that we're able to. So
Yeah, what is it right now? Almost 40 degrees right now? Yeah.
it's good, and they're happy. They're fun. So they make me happy and joyful. How about you?
Well, besides packing for Belize, my new passion over this break that I have, extended break I've taken from work, is Legos.
Yeah.
I never had Legos as a kid, and they have these fabulous
Botanical.
Legos
yeah.
for adults. Well, I've gone beyond the botanical.
You've done all of those?
I have one left
Okay.
that I want. It's like a Birds of Paradise, so it's like a big thing.
Okay.
But now I have, because you know how much I hate winter, and I hate snow and cold. I need something to look forward to. We tried cross-country skiing. That didn't fix it.
Okay.
Didn't fix it. So I now have a closet with a stash of Lego kits. One is a vintage typewriter.
Oh, I love that.
My daughter did that one.
I have Van Gogh's Starry Nights.
Ooh.
And then I have the Birds of Paradise plant. And so now next storm, I'm just going to be like, yes, I can put Legos together. And I think
love
I
that.
figured out. So I've been actually talking about this in therapy because it's like, my husband just shakes his head. He's like, but it's funny. But I had one kit that had 3 different things. And so Alec is doing one part of it. Tim's doing one part of it. So
Yeah.
they all enjoyed it. But I said, I think I figured it out that I love projects. I love doing something creative. And in this case, I know what the freaking outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
Unlike my life at work where I go do all these things and I don't know what the outcome's going to be.
I think
don't know if the revenue's going
I
to be
can
raised.
see your engineer brain just loving
Yeah.
that
I freaking
creation.
love it. It is my new passion.
I get it.
I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with me, or my bank account's going to be able to keep up with the new hobby. But
Yeah, they're
But
expensive.
she was just, my therapist was just asking me like, what brings you joy? And at that moment, I had no answer for her, and I thought, God, I was really like,
That's
besides
sad.
my husband and my few close friends that I have, like, I have no hobbies. My whole life is this place, and I know that sounds really pathetic.
It doesn't sound
but
like
it's
it.
like
That's passion.
it gave me perspective, though. Like, it gave me perspective that there has to be more to life than being tied to a desk and doing all this stuff. And so between the month of December doing all these house projects and Legos, like, I'm starting to recharge now, going to some place where it's sunny and warm, all the things. I'm like doing everything I can to find my brain again and
Just what you need.
get back
Yeah.
to being me, because so Legos, it's therapy.
I
Love
it.
that.
I love it.
So that's what I'm doing.
I love
All right,
it.
well, thank you, Laura, for
Yes,
coming in.
thank
It's
you.
Having me.
awesome to have you.
Thanks.
So
That's a tough case. It was
Yeah.
a really interesting, difficult case.
Yeah. I didn't
think
hear
about
anything about it.
if you have another one,
Yeah.
Let me know.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
yeah, because I don't remember. Actually, I think you may have mentioned this
Yeah.
once upon a time, and I was like,
Yep, I told you
"Oh, what's
about it.
that
I
one?"
said,
So
you
I
should
wrote it
cover
down,
that. Mhm.
And then I looked into it and went, holy crap,
Oh, yeah.
that was something. And you didn't give me any insight as to what the case was. I don't remember what context we
I
were
just
talking
let you
about
be
it.
surprised.
Yeah, but I was really blown away. Yeah. And I just figured Kelly would have gotten way out of Dodge. But so I
Yeah.
didn't even think
No, she's still
to
around.
look for her or
Yeah,
see.
I think she's still around. Maybe she'll reach out.
Maybe. Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for
thank
having
you.
me.
All right, KB.
All right. Well, thanks for listening today. If this episode made you laugh, cry, or just you're interested, or
Piqued
you
your
want to,
interest,
yeah, you've got some more additional stories to tell us, like this one. Please reach out. We're doing this for a cause, but yeah, we're always looking for more stories. So
Yeah. More stories. Yeah. You can hit us up at escapeartist@escapepod.live. Share those ideas for future episodes with us at justbecause@escapepod.live. You can become a patron of the show and help fund real life people escaping real life things, all the things at One Heart here. So, yeah. Subscribe, follow,
absolutely.
give us a review. Be kind.
Yes, please do that.
Please be kind.
All right. Well, until next time, excuse me. Remember, trauma may be inevitable, but how you handle it in life's messiest moments is way more fun with company. So thank you guys for being here.
I think the lesson of the day, besides staying resilient and keep laughing, is like, it's not a bad idea to put cameras in your home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that saved her bacon.
It sure did.
It sure did. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.